Yes, trustee that one, right? All right, it's just,
6:29.
really,
It's 6:29.
I know, I see. Think of it. All right, the countdown. Now we're good. All the select board meetings order. It's February 15, 2024, and we're in Ronald A. Russell meeting room. Speaking. Will you please rise to the pledge of allegiance? Allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Roland Tubbs,
Here.
Matt Nixon,
Present.
Ann Callahan,
Here?
Marie Billen,
Here.
Ryan Holmes,
Here.
and Assistant Town Manager Mark Waltz and Huber staff here as well.
Thank you. Town manager's report.
Okay, not much to report this week. Same things I reported last week. The March presidential primary will be held on March 5th at Mountain Ararat High School. The deadline to change, withdraw, or enroll in a party for the primary is this Friday, which is tomorrow, February 16th. Absentee ballots are available, and the last day to request one without a special circumstances, Thursday, February 29th. If you have any questions, just please ask the town clerk. And the Midcoast Community Action Program will be taking High Leap, which is low-income heating energy assistance, walk-in applications on February 26th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. in the Don Russell meeting room. Thank you. Great, thank you.
Next item is board and community reports and updates. Mark Waltz, assistant town manager.
Good evening, Mark Waltz, Assistant Town Manager. Two things I want to update you on tonight. One is what's going on with the Pleasant Point Road, and the other is the land and conservation waterfront possibilities that we might be able to apply a grant for. So as you recall, back in November, we had a public input meeting. We had people come in, listen to their concerns with the road, talked about some possible things that could be looked at for solutions and stuff. A survey was also made available. We haven't had too many responses from it. But we've been working on this with the Midcoast Council of Governments. And we've taken the information from that meeting. We worked on an RFP to get the road surveyed and then come up with some possible solutions. The reason why we need it surveyed is that's probably one of the oldest roads in town. We've got 4 volumes of, we call them our road books, that have records for each road. They stack about this high, and guess how much is in there on Pleasant Point Road? 0. Because the road dates back to probably like the 1700s or something. There's a plan for some of the lots that were cut up, done by a private party back in the 60s, that, but doesn't have any width of the road on it and things. And what is apparent from that plan is that in almost every case, someone that owns land on one side of the road either owns land on the other, or another party owns land between the road and the river. So it's going to be hard to do work in many areas of the road without consent of the abutters to the road, might be easements or. So we need a survey to tell us whose permission we need to get to try to work on these things. So that's why part of the RFP is to get a survey of the road to figure out who owns what. And then the other part of the RFP is to try to come up with solutions. Select Board Member Nixon's met with some people that have possibilities of nature-based solutions. We might be more likely to get some funding, we're told by their Midcoast Council of Governments, if we try to find ways for nature-based solutions. There may be some areas that nature-based solutions aren't going to work. The areas that are the most concerned is probably about halfway down the road. Is erosion is from the high tides to the point it's cutting, kind of cupping towards the road. It's not underneath the road yet, and we check it every storm and things. A few years back, I guess around 2013, the Public Works Director had to do some emergency repairs of riprap. But we've been told that we're not supposed to be doing any more riprap, and we have to get various permits before we can proceed. But we're still evaluating in case it becomes urgent again. The other area that we need to look at is where the 90-degree turn is as you come off Forsyth Road and you go down the hill. That area floods during the storms that we had in December and January. That area was under as much as 18 to 24 inches of water. And so one of the solutions is there a way to try to work around that? And so we are, as I said, working on RFP, hope to get that out probably next week. we've got one more round of comments from, the Council of Governments coming in, and the Public Works Director and I went out last week and measured areas of the road, to identify as, say, high priority, low priority, to try to help, maybe make the cost a little less by pointing out the areas we're really concerned about, at least immediately. So that's all I have on that one. I'm happy to take any questions before I move on to the next.
Any questions?
I went out there just to take a ride out there, and there's a house on the water side of the road that doesn't have a whole lot of property.
Mhm.
And so in the survey, they'll find out exactly what's gonna happen with that particular house and where the boundaries are, if that's gonna happen.
We're gonna focus on the road itself,
Okay.
to try to keep the survey more, cost conscious. And then also regarding solutions, we're gonna focus on the road itself. One thing that was talked at the meeting, that if we can work with people, we're certainly happy to, is, for instance, let's say there's work that we need to have done to pay a contractor to do that, say the homeowner on the riverside needs to do a similar thing. Maybe that they could get a discount if they do their work at the same time as ours or something. So we're happy to try to coordinate that. But our intent would be to just use public funds to protect the road itself.
Thank you.
Anything else?
What's the timeline for the RFP?
We figure we get about a month to respond, so we get it out next week, we should get, responses back in the March or April. Cool. And we'll come back to you. See what we can do. The next update is regarding the Maine and Conservation Water Fund. So this is federal money that gets to the state and the state passes it on to municipalities. It was suggested that we apply for that maybe as a chance to try to do the boat ramp. So our planner did in fact apply for that. And one of the things you have to do as part of that is it's a site visit where the state comes down and looks at your facilities. But before the state came down, we had Six Rivers Youth Sports approach us. And they're thinking that grant also might be a possibility to help fund the hockey rink that they want to build at the old Rollerboard facility. And they're asking if there's some way we can work with them on that. Some of the requirements of the grant is that the land that the grant benefits has to be owned by the town, can't just be an easement that we have. And another requirement is the land has to be protected in perpetuity for outdoor recreation. When the current Forsyth Fields back in 1973 received a grant for some improvements there. So our current Forsyth Fields have that condition on them. They have to be forever kept for outdoor recreation and things. So then as they came down to visit, we also brainstormed with them some other projects because they said this visit's enough to qualify you for the 3 projects I'm going to talk about, possibilities. But pretty soon we have to pick which direction we're going. So I'm going to briefly outline the 3 tonight. Happy to take any questions. And then staff are in the process of talking to some of these different groups. And at your next meeting, we're going to have more formal requests for direction ahead because we're at the point now we kind of got to pick one. So one direction is obviously the original one why we thought about this. It was suggested we look at it for the boat ramp. The problem with that has come up is the boat ramp plan involves probably about 50% of the property of the the Topsham Sewer District. And they looked at that and they're concerned that certainly if they gave that land to the town for the boat, the parking lots, et cetera, they wouldn't have enough if they ever had to build a sewage treatment plant there. They have a contract right now with Brunswick to send all our wonderful sewage to Brunswick. But if for some reason they needed to in the future, they'd like to know they've got a, since our pumping station brings everything in Topsham to that one location, it would make sense to be able to build a plant there. So what they're doing is they're having a survey done of their property to figure out how much, if any, that they could work with us on or something. But Pam checked today with the sewer district superintendent, and the survey still hasn't actually started yet. So that survey is not going to be done, and we're not going to have the results back in time to proceed with anything for that. Another possible project is, for years, the town's been talking about adding sidewalks in front of the Forsyth Fields and probably some guardrails to better focus the people coming out of parking lots and a few entrances, as opposed to having a quarter of a mile where people could be pulling out anywhere, make it safer for the kids. Perhaps putting some lights on with crosswalks like we have here at Main Street to make the crossing safer. Our Public Works Director estimates that that project would probably cost around $235,000. That's one of the things that will be it's in consideration of our possible capital improvement projects for the next year. So, one of the other requirements of this land water conservation money is you have to have a 50% match. So if we applied for that project, we might be able to do the project for, say, 130,000 instead of it costing us, 250 or something. One thing that, on the other hand, it could make that project more expensive, because with the federal monies, a lot of requirements on who does the work, how they do it, what materials you have to use. All the materials have to be US sourced, and so you have to make sure your steel is coming from here. It could raise the cost of things, we're told. But that's one possible project we could apply for, is to do that. And then the last project is the one we're going to be talking more to Six Rivers in the next week to flesh this out. But based on preliminary talks, what would happen is Six Rivers has already raised $1.5 million towards the hockey rink, and they now own the former Willowood property. They have been very anxious, willing, if there's any way they can partner with us on the community center project, they're happy to. They've come to some of the focus groups, they've come to meetings, they've invited the community center committee there. There are some limitations to the site, so depending on what the needs assessment comes up with, it may not be the best site for community center. But on the other hand, it looks like the ice rink is probably going to be a reality there, which is something that people requested when we had that survey a couple summers ago that the Bowdoin student helped us with. And there may be a way we could accomplish that with basically not costing the town any money. So what we're working on, and we'll have at our next meeting, Mr. Patterson from Six Rivers Youth Sports here to discuss more. And Parks and Recreation Director Leduc, who's here tonight, can also address things if need be, because she was at a meeting today with the gentleman at the state who's the head of the program, who came down and looked at it and was talking to our representatives at Six Rivers. But what we're looking at is Six Rivers would build an outdoor rink on a piece of that, the land that they have there. And then they would, and it'd be a cost about $2 million when it's all said and done. They would then sell us the land underneath the rink, and probably some of the parking lot. And then we would use land and water conservation money of $1 million to buy it. And they would donate the other $1 million towards, so they basically donate the matching funds. So it wouldn't actually cost Topsham any money, but would end up with a skating rink there. And then we'd enter an agreement with them to manage it. So we wouldn't be doing the operating things either. So more to come on that exact, but that's the other thing we're kind of investigating, working on. So those are the three things we'll have flesh out more for next week. And then, sorry, next meeting. And then we'll look for some direction from which direction you want us to head. Any questions about that?
So we've been doing the boat ramp thing for about 2.5, 3 years now.
Yeah.
And this is the first time that the sewer district has voiced concerns about that property.
Apparently our consultant never talked to the sewer district. So our consultant that drafted plans for a boat ramp there used their land without ever talking to them about it, which was not a good thing.
Well, if the neighbors were gonna have a problem with a boat ramp, you better believe they're gonna have a problem with the sewage treatment plant that's getting put there.
And they have no plans to build one there now. I mean, I think the most thing that makes most sense is continue to use the plant in Brunswick. But if worse comes to worse, if for some reason they couldn't get a contract with Brunswick, it's gonna be hard to find other land to put the plant in. So they're trying to be careful and protect their options in the future.
I'm almost confident that they were consulted at one point, not by the consultant, but I'm pretty sure they were involved in this process. I wish they brought it up a little bit sooner than now, 3 years into this thing. That's a little ridiculous to me, but, I guess my other thought was, land and water conservation funds. I've applied for that for a couple of projects, and they've usually been for boardwalks, estuary restoration, boat ramp, other things. Buying Roller World property seems a little bit of a stretch.
Or an outdoor ice rink, what we would find.
It's still, I mean, it's not, there's no conservation value at all to that property. I mean, it's right next to 95 or 295.
The hope they've got is outdoor recreation.
Yeah, I'm not sure how well that would go. It might qualify for sure. I just don't know how well it would rank in scoring. It's a pretty competitive program.
And, they've got, I think, what, about 9 million this year?
This year they have about 9 million. They have around 50 interested. And we have 3 of them that we spoke to them about, but you had to meet with them by last December in regards to whether we had interest in pursuing them. And they tend to have about a 30% application process.
So there's obviously no guarantees for any of these projects, but we have to pick which one basically we want to try for. And so that'll be that.
Great. Anything else? Very good, thanks so much.
Welcome.
All right, next item, public comment.
Okay.
Yes, please. No public comment. All right, correspondence.
Okay, I have 2 letters that were received by all of us board members. One of them is from Joe Healy and the other's from Dale Eaton. Both having heard of Derek's resignation, they are both supporting and wanting the board to know that they would support having Mark Waltz as the new town manager.
Okay.
I also had a correspondence from Annie King, a 3rd grade teacher. They were learning about local government and she had asked if we wanted to come in and speak to the kids on what local government was as a select board. So I extended that out and Anne went with me today. We met with a bunch of 3rd graders to talk about it. What a wonderful class. They asked great questions, very engaged. And it was just a lot of fun to have some community outreach with that. So it was great for Annie to reach out to us and we're very appreciative of that.
That's great, thanks. Anything else? Good. Next item, consent calendar. Approval of the minutes of the regular select board meeting, February 1st, 2024.
Sir,
Oh, sorry, Jeff.
adjustments.
This is why I have these, I should put them on.
Excuse me, sir.
All right, now that I'm vision corrected. Adjustments to the agenda. We are going to be adding an executive session to the meeting, following the new business. And we are going to be moving item 24-14 to after the executive session. So, keep it on that. All right. Back to where I was. Consent calendar, approval of the minutes of the regular select board meeting of February 1st, 2024. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions?
Could have been done a little bit better there.
All right. Item 24-10, public hearing. Consideration and any appropriate action on approval of a special amusement permit for Corey Edward Garber, Post 202, American Legion. And we have the Legion here. The way this will work is we will open the public hearing. I will gavel it in, give you a presentation. You'll accept any public comment or questions, as well as questions from the board. And then once we close the public hearing, deliberation will be between the board members only. So, give your presentation.
Okay, my name is Dawn Aldis. I'm here representing Corey Edwin Garber, Post 202, and I am the adjutant. I currently live at 8 Beewood Drive in Lisbon Falls.
I'm Cheryl Moore. I'm the commander of Corey Garber Post 202, and I live at 622 River Road here in Topsham.
Okay, so we're just here to request a special amusement license. We have been approved by the police chief, the fire chief. We do have a current liquor license, and our hall, I'm not sure what questions you need, but our hall will hold 225 people. Our lounge will hold 81 people. We have entertainment off and on every, what is it? Monthly, first Friday of every month, we have a DJ or somebody come in and play in our hall. We do have other events, like this weekend, we have a winter classic, which is, we have 10 teams right now that are playing softball, regardless of what the weather is, to raise funds for the veterans, homeless veterans.
Minden.
Yes, we'll be donating it to Minden but it's for homeless veterans. Our motto is we play in the cold so they don't have to sleep in the cold. So, that's one of our big fundraisers. We have a couple of fundraisers during the year. And if anybody wants to go, we can sign them in because they do need to be members or a guest. What else? We do a lot. So I don't know if you have any questions.
My daughter's had some spectacular birthdays there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do a lot of functions for.
Right.
Birthday parties, celebrations of lives and such.
Right.
Any questions from the public? Additional questions from the board?
Excuse my ignorance on this, the special license for what you're requesting, is there something specific that you guys are doing, or is it for the?
It's just something we have to renew every year.
Because they sell liquor, they have to have, special permit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? As you mentioned, you have all the required approvals, everything, so that's great. Right, I think we're covered, so we're going to go back into regular session. Close public hearing. And any further comments from the board before we take a motion? Okay.
I'd like to move that we provide a special amusement permit for Corey E. Garver, American Legion Post 202.
Second. Moving seconded, all in favor? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, unfinished business, none. Old business, none. On to new business. Consideration and any appropriate action on support for Brunswick Topsham Land Trust Maine Outdoor Heritage Fund grant request to complete the Brunswick Topsham Outdoors map and guide.
Hi, Julie Erdman, Planning Director. You have received a request in your packet tonight from BTLT's new Executive Director, Steve Walker, for support for an updated and expanded Brunswick Trails map, which would add Topsham. BTLT is applying for assistance from the Maine Outdoor Heritage Fund to help cover the cost of the project. And the grant application, which is due tomorrow, requires a partner letter of understanding. The original Brunswick Outdoors map has been circulated locally as well as online and has proved very successful, extremely popular. Expanding the map to Topsham will encourage the use of Topsham trails, which may in turn lead to growth and investment in town. And it will be a good resource for residents who may be unsure about public access to certain parcels and also promote an active and healthy lifestyle. The 2019 comprehensive plan advises that the town do more to promote its incredible access to nature and to attract new residents and visitors. And this will do just that. There's a draft support letter in your packet that I hope the board would consider signing this evening, which offers a monetary contribution as well of $1,500 for design and printing.
What's
Is
the,
it 1,500 or 15,000?
15,000 is the total cost.
Oh, the total
Yes, that's me.
So what are they applying for? Like the total, they're applying for 15,000?
He did not include that in his letter. I'm assuming that he's applying for the.
So then what would our money go towards if he's gonna get the full 15 grand from OHF?
That would be a good question for him. I can certainly ask him that. I don't know if at that point we don't need to contribute or.
To the maps.
They've got plenty of in kind.
Yeah.
I believe the printing cost was somewhere around $5,000 to $6,000, and that's kind of what he's looking for. So Brunswick contributed 2,000. They've been involved, prior. So he had asked if we make a contribution. He didn't say how much, but talked among staff, and we thought that was a fair contribution. So the benefit to the map too, as I was discussing with staff, is there's a lot of benefits that Julie had mentioned, but also, to have this printed over in Brunswick, so people who want to see our trails will come over, see what Topsham has to offer, maybe visit our retail stores, or, just kind of enjoy Topsham for what it is. So it would actually, we think, attract people over here as well. So.
Is it still gonna be called Brunswick Outdoors?
It'll be Brunswick Topsham.
I had asked for Thompson Brunswick, but it didn't get very far.
We should try.
You give more money than they are.
I mean, the max for OHF is usually 25 grand, so I mean, if they get. I agree that the amount is minuscule, but it would be helpful if one of them had shown up tonight, so we could actually know what they're applying for and why they need municipal donations. If they're going to be getting the entire amount, as he says, for map design through printing and web posting is estimated at 15K. So that's well under the max for OHF. Yeah, it just doesn't, we're missing a number here, basically. That's what it comes down to.
We could put a number not to exceed.
So, otherwise, I'm fine with this.
So do you want to amend the motion?
We don't have one written out, Mark.
Right here. To approve the grant request for the.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll suggest one now, Orwood. Motion to approve the grant and fund up to $1,500 if it is not completely grant funded.
Perfect.
To be used for instead of.
No, we can't submit that. One of us has to say it. I move that we approve the letter to support the Berkeley Topsham outdoor map submitted by Berkeley Topsham Land Trust and give Roland permission to sign it in preparation for tomorrow, along with a not to exceed donation of $1,500 only if it is needed after OHF deliberations.
Is there a second?
Second.
Got all that there?
We've been seconded.
All in favor?
And it.
Andrew.
Second.
I
Oh,
did.
you did, okay. Too many hands flying.
Motion was Matt and second.
Yeah, I used to do this kind of stuff.
We really appreciate him serving as
Yeah,
our
that's-
secretary this
doing
evening.
that.
Thank you, Julie.
Thank you very much. Good job.
Thanks, Julie.
All right. Item 2112, consideration and any appropriate action on posting the list of roads from February 26, 2024 to April 3rd, 2024, or sooner if conditions allow.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Bill Clear, Warren Public Works, here on behalf of the director. This is our annual request to post and weight limits on several roads to protect them. We do this because of the frost that comes out of the ground. The roads that, the subbase is softened, heavy vehicles crush the surface and damage the roads. There is a permit system attached to this in place whereby residents, contractors can request permission to access the roads temporarily in drier or frozen conditions. There are exempt vehicles like home heating oil trucks, trash trucks. However, they're still going to be responsible for any damage that may occur. Our hopes is to post the roads tomorrow, depending on the storm. And I am open for any questions. I'll answer them the best I can. If I can't, I'll pass them on to the director in his marine returns next week. If you want to make any amendments or adds to any of the roads that are listed, he'll review those as well when he returns.
And the list of roads is included in the package for tonight. Citizens.
Yes.
Any questions?
Not about this specifically, but Forsyth's already pretty damaged, from the last, and this area, from the last couple of storms here. Like, is there gonna be any additional work done down there in preparation for posting season?
Not that I'm aware of.
Gotcha.
The town doesn't post from Middlesex to the landfill
Yeah.
because of the trash trucks and us using it, and that's why we only post from the landfill to the other end that we can protect.
Anything else? All right. Is there a motion?
I make a motion that the Public Works Department take responsibility to put up the postings for road closures, at their, tomorrow, effective,
Yeah, list the dates.
oh, I'm sorry, February 26, 2024 to April 3rd, 2024.
It's not here.
Oh, well, mine says 30. My document says 3. It's now 30. Let me revise my motion.
All right, is there a second?
Is there a second?
Moved and seconded. Yeah, so move.
And moved, who's the second?
Maria.
Maria.
All right. Moved and seconded. All in favor? Opposed? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Bill. Everybody says April 1st. Whether I came up with that date, but.
All right, item 2413, consideration and any appropriate action on the appointment of 2 openings on the community center committee. So tonight, we have the pleasure of interviewing 4 candidates for 2 openings on the committee. And after deliberations, we are recommending Heather Rogers and Kimberly Pride. Any questions on that? Your motion?
I make a motion to appoint Heather Rogers and Kimberly Pride to the community center committee.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Opposed, motion carries. Okay, so at this point, we are going to go into executive session, excuse me. And I'll make the motion, we'll move that we go into executive session pursuant to 1 MRS section 405-6A to discuss a personnel matter regarding the upcoming town manager vacancy.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? We are now in executive session.